Easy on me.
What are you talking about? Go easy on me.
Yeah, don't start to talk about the fiber and the cell.
That's all right. I'll leave that out. I'll leave that out of the conversation.
That's David.
I won't ask any questions.
All right, all right.
All right.
Uh,
There you go.
hold on. My dry. All right.
You got your questions over there on the left.
Well, okay, guys,
We ready, everybody?
we're in. We're in.
All right, we are live. Welcome to the Training Edge with Dave and Stu. My name is David Spierer, and I'm broadcasting from Arizona, which is currently right now about 105 degrees. So along with our quarantine, we're also staying inside because it's so hot out. I am an academic. I've been a teacher of exercise science and physiology for the last 15 years. And I came to know Stu through my students actually doing internships at his fitness center, Iron and Silk. And Stu and I have become very close friends over the years and started this podcast just a short time ago. And I just want him to take a moment just to introduce himself, and then we'll talk about the guest we have today, Jane Santos, and we'll get started.
Jane, we call her GI Jane. GI Jane. Well, my name's Stuart Burton. I've been involved in bodybuilding for many years, almost 40 years, maybe even a little over 40 years. I've had the opportunity. I really work with some great athletes, guys like Harold Poole, Leon Brown, John Icabelli. So I was always around, great bodybuilders. Chris Dickerson. I trained at a gym, Sheridan Square. We own Iron and Silk Fitness Center in Lower East Side, Manhattan, where we have a lot of pro bodybuilders and professional athletes that work with the general population out of that facility. So Jane Santos is with us tonight, I should say today, and Jane is going to jump in and she's going to help, again, just set the record straight, get good information out. You can call in, can ask questions, and this is what we're here for.
So our podcast, basically, we talk about fitness, we talk about health, we talk about wellness. We really welcome any perspective that people have. We understand that people's fitness journeys are different and people have different capabilities. So today's topic is actually going to be the basics of training, summer body ready. So Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Go get him, Jane.
So Jane, tell us just a little bit about yourself. We did kind of a little short introduction, but tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Born and raised in Brazil. I started with the fitness in 1993, doing fitness classes back in the day, sport aerobics and the step class, this kind of thing. I did compete in fitness as an amateur. Then I switched to professional in 2006. And then with the injuries that comes with that type of division, which you would jump and we do all those stuffs, I switched to physique division, which is likely, not today, but used to be a likely version of the female bodybuilding.
Yeah. Very, very impressive too. The coming from that fitness background with the flips, a lot of gymnastics in that division. And then
a lot of high impact, yeah.
And then moving into a division where you're carrying a little bit more muscle, a little more separation. How was that? Real quick, but how was that transition?
That transition was not the hardest part. The hardest part was because from the sport aerobics to the fitness, right, which is the federation that was held, was the IFBB. They want you to present a body with the low percentage of body fat, right? Yeah. You have to be, the definition have to be on a certain level, right, which you have to cut water. But at the same time, you need to be flexible.
Right.
You need to be jumping. So it really required because in the sport aerobics, you kind of cut down in the diet for the prep because you're jumping a lot, but you don't need to be shredded. Right, you don't have to lower your body fat percentage that low.
Right.
So we really play with the injury in very close because you have to be like, get your leg and bring all the way up and jump and land and split.
Hardcore.
when you're doing a bodybuilding type of diet, which is not for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the risk of injury with the fitness is way higher than with the physique. So it was almost like a break. I just had to put more size in after that.
Right.
For to compete in the physique class.
Amazing. And this is a pleasure again having you aboard, because you represent out of the two sexes, we would tend to find that females' bodies getting leaner tend to be a little bit more. It's a more delicate balance. I think you have to pay really close attention to it. Men, because of usually carrying a higher percentage of testosterone, tend to get in shape, maybe a little bit easier on average. But again, the bodybuilding, because we're judged based off of how we look and carrying low body fat percentage and good fullness to the muscle and these things, David knows, because as a competitive bodybuilder, David also realizes this and knows this. It allows us to look very differently than how we approach our training. Exercises, like we said before, we all know the same exercises per se, but it's how we're performing the exercises, at what pace, and then also the type of diet that we utilize in order to get the look, the visual that we're after. Not so much the physical performance that you needed more with the fitness. But,
I was going to say, the flexibility that's required to do those movements is kind of incompatible with what it is that you're doing as far as building muscle mass. Not to say that there aren't individuals who have very large, muscle who are flexible, but I would say that that's probably not the common thread.
Yeah.
And that's
in my case, for example, I was never a flexible person, because you have that athlete that genetically, naturally, they are more flexible. And that was not my case. So I had to work a lot of stretching, like flexibility, heavy training to become to that level. So it was hard for me to push my body on that sense to become that flexible, to present a level of flexibility required for the contest, but at the same time, cutting water with just such a low body fat percentage.
Well, with that being said, I think we should jump into our first question.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I got one over here, and they said we have someone that called in. They're asking, every summer I always notice I want to eat less, drink more water, and push harder with my cardio. Sometimes I think this makes me leaner, but not necessarily stronger. Is there a way to properly train when I don't want to eat that much? So she's saying that during the summertime, she's really not that hungry. Her appetite is down. And she notices that with her training and the cardio that she's doing, she feels a little bit weaker. She really doesn't feel stronger. Is there a certain, Jane, is there something that you would use, in other words, summertime as opposed to when it's cold? Because Jane and I don't live that far away from one another. She's a little higher up than me, so it's a little colder where she is. But, do you change your training? And how would you help this person that has a hard time with that?
I would like a little bit more information, because remember, when the client tell us like, I don't eat a lot. If she's just eating salad, and tofu, she's not going to have energy to work out harder.
Right.
So when you say when she says, I don't eat a lot in the summer. I eat less and I drink more fluids.
And she's saying she's pushing more cardio as well.
Yes. If she's just eating, salad and putting more water, that's not going to give her enough fuel to push more in the exercise. So I will need more information to understand more detail, which is generally, if in the summer, you want to eat less, you still can have your protein intake in from your eggs, from chicken, or for meat, or if you're vegetarian, you got to research what else it can give you a certain amount of protein. And you have to have, even if it's a low intake, a little bit of carbohydrate, because that's come from your to give you the energy.
Right.
But the information that she's giving to me is still not enough to tell her like, oh, it's because of that. I'll have to see. If you're just eating salad and drink water, you're not going to have the energy to push
Right.
And you're definitely going to feel the muscle you're not going to get density on the muscle when you're not using right fuel to build that muscle.
And even in regards to, maybe she might not even be, interested in building a lot of muscle, but just tone. Because because when you don't have the calories and it's summertime, it's hot, so the body's metabolically it's going to be a little higher. I think it probably is also going to most likely is going to burn through those calories quick. So the training, what would you say, Dave? As far as would you recommend then maybe lower sets, heavier weights, higher? What?
I mean, again, I think Jane is right that there's not enough information here, but I do think that if you were going to have a diet that was very low, it sounds like it's kind of low in calories.
Right.
So you would have to boost those calories with really, I would say, complex carbohydrates in order to get the kind of, energy that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking she's saying she's not getting stronger, but we know from a physiologic standpoint, in order to get stronger, you've got to impose force on the muscle. That's the only way.
That's it. Progressive resistance.
Right. And it doesn't matter what that is. I'm not advocating going out and doing deadlifts with 450 pounds.
But there has to be
impose a new force on the muscle, let that muscle get stronger to adapt to that force, and then continue to impose new forces.
Awesome.
So, there's still things that this individual could do to get stronger. We talk about it all the time. We talk about body work. We talk about, using suspension. We talk about all of those kinds of training techniques. So I do think, though, Jane is right. I think, in this case, eating salads is probably not going to get you there.
Right.
Because you just don't have the building blocks, to work with when you're doing that kind of training.
I agree with you 110%. And I want to say, based off of just what that person sent in, again, it's like this. And I think we all find this a lot. I know Jane and I have talked about this before. People are looking, this person is interested in finding out a workout that they can do, that's intense enough to increase their strength. But don't realize that sometimes you have to change. You can't adhere to a certain style of training or nutrition that you were doing initially, because the body, as it begins to evolve or your goals start to change, you have to have an open enough mind to manipulate those boundaries. If you stay locked into, getting lean means I have to eat a little bit less and I'm going to eat like this because I want to eat like this, that's not approaching your goals with an open mind. You have to realize that I need energy to train harder to get stronger, or to train, let's use the word progressively heavier to get stronger. The calories that I'm taking in now is not sufficient. It's not giving me what I want. So that means that's not working.
You got to have a different pathway of thinking in order to achieve.
Yes, correct. That's the myth that everybody comes and say they think they have to stop to eat. Right. And if they train harder or heavier, they're going to look like a man, or they're going to be too big. I don't want to get too big. Like Dave mentioned, it doesn't have to be 400 pounds. If you're used to train every day with 20, go up to 22, 25. Mm-hmm. Challenge a little bit, because our body's amazing. It adapts to anything. So if something that you've been doing for 3-4 months, you have to switch. You have to go up a little bit.
Right.
I agree.
I want to.
So we got another question. This is about the male over the age of 40 or 50. Now, just to let you know, Jane, last week we spoke with Bill Grant, 73 years old, in incredible shape.
Yeah.
I know.
Still. What's that?
He makes me feel like crap.
I told him, I said, boy, you don't look or sound like the average 73-year-old.
Yeah, Bill is.
If you take someone who's 40 or 50 years old, a male, still wants to look good, wants to be in shape.
Right.
The question is it too late? It's not too late, but the real question is, what does an individual of that age focus on in terms of muscle group, in terms of training?
You want to jump on that, Jay?
For me, I can go first.
You go ahead, Jay. You jump on that.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's never late. I'm 47. First, you have to stop compare yourself with somebody that's 20.
Right.
So if I have a 20, my daughter go work out and she's going to have the results way faster than me. It is what it is, right? Perimenopause, things change. The body doesn't answer as fast.
Right.
It is what it is, but it's never too late. You still can prove and have results, but you got to respect where the stage that your body is in terms of age.
Right.
Where was the other question? Remember, I'm translating in my brain.
Well, that's okay. And then what particular muscle group should they focus on?
Well, it always have the genetically, right? Like we see Bill Grant, he look amazing. I don't think he have a specific body part that he needs, in general for his age, he look outstanding. Right? He can go on stage and compete in masterclass today if he wants.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you will see another senior, older man that will lose an incredible amount of mass of lower body, for example.
Yeah.
I think when you're old, you have to older or mature and bolder, you have to choose not. We don't look as when we were younger, like, I need more biceps. Yes, you still need more biceps, but you still need to build a foundation in the whole body because the chance of injury and we lose body mass faster than a younger person. Right. So you can give the emphasis, depends of what his needs are, right? If he feels that he's losing more upper body, he's going to focus more upper body, but he can still not forget about lower body and all the other exercise in between to keep his balance and core strong for his age.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Jane is saying really, like, I guess, specialize the area that the person might need the most. I'd like to throw on top of that, and I think she's 100% correct. From just a health standpoint, we can generally say that most people lose mobility and strength the lower body down, and we see this a lot with men.
Yes.
Right. I would also very strongly say to that individual, it's important to keep your flexibility up. Keep the flexibility of the muscles along with that strength that you're looking to to develop overall. Again, balance is always key. If you have massive arms and then everything else is kind of okay, and then you get to the legs and the legs are not okay, that's not a good combination. You want to work at trying to have everything comparable to that strongest body part that you may have. That body part that you have, the predisposition is to always be really kind of good. You want at least, you don't want to be too far away from that with all the other body parts. And that, I think, really what Jane is saying, which is like, forget it, is very, very important. You want to create that balance, and then that mobility, that flexibility and mobility, muscle and ligament and tendon, you gotta have that. That lower body is important.
One thing I wanted just to add, and this is the muscle fiber part of the show, is that when we start to atrophy, when we get older, we're left with type 1 fibers, right? And type 1 fibers are primarily endurance fibers. And it's very interesting. If you look at an older person who can't really get out of a chair or can't walk long distances, you would say, well, why is it that they can't? Because they have tons of type 1 fiber. They don't have the type 2, so they don't have the power fiber, but they have the endurance fiber.
Right.
And the reason is really because of oxygenation. It's because of heart and lung function. It has other, there are other reasons why that muscle cannot get oxygenated and can't get the sort of the nutrients it needs in order to function properly. But when you look at somebody who is older and you're saying, okay, what, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever, you're right. The lower body is so important because it is all about function. It is getting out of a chair. It is being able to walk. It is being able to bend. It's all of those things. Right. And that is really training that type 2 fiber, not allowing that type 2 fiber to atrophy and kind of disappear. But having a nice balance between type 1 and type 2, and overall that also increases the ability to oxygenate that muscle.
Correct.
And and then improve function overall.
Yeah. Movement, very important. Movement important.
Yeah. So we have another question. This is not related to Beachbody, but it's more related to your experience coming up in the bodybuilding world early on. So, you know, in looking at your history, I see that you actually started in like 94. That's when I graduated graduate school. I was 27 years old. Or actually, yeah, I was 27 years old at the time. So at that time, you know, I was looking at Muscle and Fitness magazine. I probably saw you on the cover of, you know, Muscle and Fitness, but I also noticed that it was, and maybe I'm wrong, kind of a male dominated sport. So what was it like coming up as a really up and coming kind of, you know, fitness professional in a male dominated sport?
Oh, you have to forget this. I would say there was not, like, from my parents at the time, because I was 19, they just assume already that you're going to look like a man, right? So I have to forget that and just focus on the passion that I have for the sport. And that is not much support, but it's still until today. There's not much difference. If you go and you look by the price of the bodybuilding, for a male is over $200,000 for the first place.
Yeah.
And then maybe they get 30, 40,000.
Wow.
So it's like a big gap. It's still until today. The audience, the people that come to see it, is not as the same that comes to see a male bodybuilding.
Got it.
So it's still until today. It's just like today we do have the social media. So you were able now to reach more the audience that does appreciate a woman with muscles. In 1994, 1993, especially where I'm from Brazil, you have to wait for Flex magazine or something which was imported from US, arrive over there late, because we always get with the delay. So when you get information, it was like something new was going on here already.
Right.
So many times I'll get ready for a count that's based on what we were watching and reading it, and translating, right? Then you translate with the dictionary, where you lose a lot of expression and meanings. Then you get in outside the country to compete, and you look all the girls, they're completely different than you look, right? So you think like, okay, I got to be bigger this year. And they're all leaner. They're like, okay, I got to go small. They're all bigger. So it was very complicated back in the day. Now the athletes, they have instant feedback. They can follow the top pros competitors online and see, okay, that's the standard. That's how I have to look.
Oh, that's a great point.
Get ready.
I want to say, give a quick shout out to Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. We see stuff out here. Help Tech, Teach. Tell you guys also thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I do have a question, David. That this might we all could touch on this a little bit. It says in very hot temperatures and after surgery, specifically placement of a stent inside the bile duct. What might be some of the best, safest types of exercises to keep muscle on the whole body from atrophying, but are unlikely to disturb the stent and provoke irritation? So we have a call in. Someone has a stent in the bile duct, and they're coming from. This is coming from a very, very hot climate. I think this is coming from Asia. This question, Kuwait to be exact. And I think they're asking about a bile duct that's been inserted, and the individual is concerned with atrophy. What could they basically do? It doesn't sound like they're bedridden because of it, so they may be mobile. So I'm assuming maybe they're mobile, but.
So a couple of things. First is, you would try to find out how long ago the surgery was, number one. And that would indicate whether or not they went through any kind of inpatient PT, if they're going through outpatient PT, if that was necessary. The second thing is, if the liver function tests are normal, then I think they could probably start with some, and again, it depends on age, it depends on how long ago the surgery was, but they could start with some very light cardiovascular exercise. I would probably recommend something that is a little bit more lower body emphasized, like a bike could do that, even a treadmill, things of that nature, and make sure that those liver function tests are normal throughout. Again, a stent in the bile duct, similar to a stent in a heart,
Right.
are going to allow for greater oxygenation. So there may have been, for whatever reason, the stent was put in, but it really is important to keep that circulation moving.
Right.
So I don't think necessarily I would focus only on strength. He wants to do overall body and doesn't want to atrophy. That's fine. I get that. So we could do some legs. We can do, when I say legs, we could do some biking. We can do some treadmill. There could be some body work if necessary, if they're able to do that. Things like even modified push-ups, wall push-ups.
Right.
Really depends on how old this individual is.
There is a lot. Yeah.
Even chair squats could be very helpful.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that would affect, the liver necessarily. This is about improving circulation.
Yeah. And with that being in the, that stent being where it is, if you're moving around and you're starting to feel a little discomfort, then I would say avoid those things that might feel uncomfortable. Usually, a stent in the bile duct, it might not interfere with you that much, and if you do have the clearance from the doctor that you can, you're going to PT or you're to start to move, have some exercise, then absolutely, I would say all things are fair game around the house that need to be done within reason. And then the same thing he was saying, the push-ups against the wall, stand up and contract your glutes really hard and then release, contract the glutes and then release.
Sure.
I mean, there's everything could be worked.
Things like isometric contractions could be very helpful because then you're kind of limiting the range of motion of the joint.
Yes.
True. But you're still imposing force on the muscle at the same time. So I think that could be.
And we're obviously home. So, I believe, and he just said back that, he's in his 50s, and the surgery was 2 months ago.
So we're kind of just short out of surgery. So I'm suggesting more cardiovascular activity, improve that circulation.
Yes.
No
very
doubt
important, very important.
Yep.
So we're getting ready to, let's just throw one more question out. Dave, I don't have any more questions.
I do.
Right here.
I have,
you have them, right?
So I got a question. All right. So there's a question that came in, Jane. So although the beach body is more about kind of the six-pack abs, the large arms, the big chest, forward-facing muscles, right? No one's really like looking at someone on the beach and going, "Wow, great hamstrings." They're just like that.
I do.
I know I do, but most people don't. You see
bodybuilders, we do.
Well, you see a lot of people on the beach with massive chests and tiny legs. Right. So the question is like, how do I ensure that I maintain balance in my routine and I don't overtrain? So if I'm looking to be beach body ready, I want the big chest, I want arms, I want my six-pack abs, but then how do I maintain the balance in my training so that I make sure that I'm covering everything?
You got 2 minutes, Jane. Lock it down. Give it to him.
2 minutes? I need more than that. First of all, don't go get ready for the summer on the spring.
Great point. Good point.
Please, people come to me like, well, I have a trip in 2 months. Like, if you have somebody that is used to train, I'm able to push them to the extent that I can give some help in 2 months, but get somebody that's totally, off and not doing anything and come like, I want to get summer body. It's not going to happen. It have to be a lifestyle. You got to think first in your health. And then on top of that, I want a six-pack. Great, we work on that. I want a bigger chest. We work on that. But come by season, it's just because for summer, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Our body, you take 10 years to be out of shape and you want to be in shape in 2 months. Like that. Otherwise, I'll be in shape right now, and I'm not.
Stop it, Jane.
Balance. I think that's the word, right? Even if you want a bigger chest, for the chest to be big and everything, you need the balance from the back, from the shoulders, right? And if you have amazing upper body, you need the legs to go with it. So balance is the big point on this.
Right.
You can work in the place that you need to improve, but you cannot forget the rest of the body. I wish I could give you any other answer and be like, okay, you want to just do chest every day. and you're going to have amazing chest. No,
Right.
the chest today depends on the level. You got to give the rest for that muscle. Meanwhile, that muscle is resting. You training the other one, which can be shoulders, back, lower back, glutes, hamstring, or you can do a full body workout. And but still, you still got to divide and give the rest for the muscle to be prepared.
It's great advice. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. So, guys, I cannot believe we're kind of done. Which
gotta
is
come back. I gotta bring Jane back.
So, Jane, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was really great to have you on. We'd love to have you back on. Please check out the description box below for more information. It has contact info and websites and links and all the information you need. And, you know, we're really happy that we can bring this to everyone. And we're really so appreciative of our listeners and the people who call in and write in questions. And we're going to continue to do this. We just love breaking this down and kind of consolidating the information in a way that's digestible for everybody. And listen, we get that these are times that are very challenging. We're all in quarantine and it's difficult, but keep training, stay healthy, try to, you know, maintain your goals as best as you can. Stu and I talk about this all the time. And thanks so much for tuning in. Jane, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks, Jane. Thanks, Jane.
All right.
Can we get you back here, Jane, again?
Anytime.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. Now I don't want to go.
All right, everybody.
All right, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time.